Okay, welcome back. On this segment, we're gonna show you the toss. We're gonna do a couple of tosses, or I'm gonna do a couple of tosses from stick left, and then I'm gonna move to stick right and show you my toss from there, and then I'm gonna move to table in and show you my toss from there. So this is it's not a cookie cutter, so it can vary. What works for me and it may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. So that's how we figure out what's the best grip and set and so forth, and way you toss dice when you get to class. But I'm going to show you what I do. Again, that's the hard way set. Doesn't matter in this particular case because I'm just going to use the toss. Okay, do my grip like I showed you. Middle finger, splitting the dice. Fingers going on the diagonal, coming across. The dice are here on the word L of the line. I'm going to follow through, one motion, and the dice land at the other end. They landed about 4 inches from the table. Nice little toss. I'm going to show you one more. Middle finger, eventually you want to have the least amount of skin friction on the dice. That's why you don't want to grab the dice like that and leave your fingers there. Eventually, I instruct my students to start out with a little more finger on the face of the dice, because that way you can get used to having them feel like they're rolling off that finger. Eventually, you want to work them up to the top, the closest to the top as possible, without them splitting. And you get a good grip and you're good to go. So from here, one more time, 90-degree turn. My fingers are all touching the table to stabilize my wrist. We don't do a pendulum swing like this. Too much motion, too much room for air. We go from the tabletop, straight out, hitting the back wall. That one there was, you got the idea of the motion, but it would have been a bad throw because I threw it too deep. One die ended up where it wasn't supposed to, and the other die randomly rolled back here. But that'll happen every once in a while, and that's part of the game. Okay, now I'm going to move to stick right. Okay, now I've just moved to stick right, and physically you're going to be using different muscle. Again, I'm going to demonstrate the same grip. Ring finger over the top, pressure back with the index finger. My fingers go on the diagonal. My dice are parallel. One motion forward and hit the end. Let me do that one more time. Ring finger over the top, index finger. They're together. We're here. Follow through. Two good tosses.
Now, Bo, do you use a different type of toss for the ice tongue?
Yes. Now, the ice tongue, good one, Pablo. The one I've been playing with, this is kind of cool. And I'm always doing this on the table for two reasons. I get my fingertips dry so they don't stick to the dice, and also I want to keep my joints so they're flexible. And you can do that while you're waiting for the dice to return. So again, the ice tongue like so. This one we use a slight pendulum. Come back parallel to the table, release, bingo. They land very softly to the end. And that reminds me, one other thing I would like to explain to you. When you're drinking coffee, water, Coke, or a beer at the table, use the opposite hand to drink with, because on this cup it's not too bad, but if you're having a Coke or anything cold, the condensation on the glass, if you're doing it with your throwing hand, will make your fingers sticky, and they'll probably stick to the dice, and it causes them to go off axis and end up with ultimately a bad throw. So just remember some of these little tips. Now I'm going to move to table end, and we'll show you the toss from the end. Okay, we're back, and I just moved to table end. Now when we teach the class, what we prefer to do is find the best position for you, and through practice and casino sessions you'll figure out, you want to master that position. First of all, I mastered stick right to begin with, and then I graduated to stick left and now to table end. What you want to do is you want to perfect one position. You don't want to be mediocre at all of them. You want to be really good at one and then graduate to the next. Now, a lot of people say you can't shoot from the end because it's too far, there's too much energy in the dice. Well, that's baloney, because I know my webmaster, Pablo, he shoots exclusively from the end, and he does great. So We're going to demonstrate from the end. And on this one here, I do it a little differently. It's basically the same, only this time my middle finger goes all the way to the bottom. And I set the dice up at an angle to the table like so, but it's still parallel. I come all the way back. There's the rubber, diagonal rubber here at the end. If you take your dice and put them there, come forward a little bit, okay? Then you know you're parallel to the surface. Then one motion, follow through, and the dice hit the other end. And if you notice, the arc from here is a higher arc. It has to be because it's a longer distance to travel. And you want to make sure that when you're throwing the dice, because at the other end you'd have the opposite end you're shooting from, you're going to have pass line bets and probably some odds bets. Okay? So you want to land the dice over the true odds on any position you're shooting from, and about, depending on the table surface, 4 to 5 inches from the back wall. Because what you're dealing with here, see, these dice are cubes, and a cube is 90 degrees. That's why you want to throw straight into the diamonds, landing, say, 4 inches from the wall, the energy coming up underneath the diamonds, 90 meets a 45, the diamonds are at 45 degrees, takes the kinetic energy of the dice, forces it straight down, and you have a nice toss. That's why you want to land the dice as flat as possible. So let me do another one from the end. Get the dice, the grip. Also, one thing I want to mention, your target area grows. From the end, it's like kicking a field goal. You want to stay out of the mixing bowl, out of the hook. The straight part of the diamonds start here and end here. So if you just imagine a goalpost here, so you're throwing in between the goalposts from straight out. You do the grip, come back, follow through, dice land, good toss. But when you're shooting from stick right or stick left, your target area is about in this area here, or if you're taller with longer arms, the farther out you can throw straight into the diamonds, the better. Okay, there's many different types of grips, but in class we will figure out which grip is the best for you, which position is the best for you, and then that's what you will practice. Okay, thank you for your time on this video, and we will see you in the next one.